this was probably our first like Hypar AI demo. And this was, I wrote a Hypar function in a morning that calls the OpenAI API. And you can write some text, like there's a small purple box in the center of the room, and it will generate an object that matches that description. Now, there's a large blue box on the left side of the room. And so one of the nice things about Hypar is that if you can write code, you can just add new systems to this environment. And so I just, wrote a new function, pulled in the OpenAI API, and all of a sudden we had AI running on Hypar. It wasn't super useful for anything. I don't think anybody really needs a colored box generator, but it was a proof of concept, and it got our whole team thinking about what some of those applications might be. I think what we are really excited about in this work is that we're utilizing AI for something it's really good at, which is turning ill-formed, kind of fuzzy text language into something that's structured, which computers know how to work with. So this was sort of the next iteration of that experiment where you could sort of describe a building. There is a 100-foot by 75-foot building. And instead of creating boxes, now we were creating objects that Hypar knew how to talk to, like envelopes, because all of these other systems already here, those already existed. We didn't have to build from scratch. We are already a parametric modeler that knows how to take a box and turn it into a building. And so we were able to leverage the existing sort of parametric capabilities of Hypar and just build a little piece of it, which was taking the text to generate some piece of starting geometry, like a conceptual mass. And so that's evolved even beyond this now. And hopefully I can actually get a live demo of this one going. So this is the latest iteration of that, where I'm describing not only the form of the building, but also uses. So right now I'm saying I have a 1-story retail building. I could say I have a 4-story office building, and it will basically take that text, turn it into a bunch of structured data that Hypar knows how to react to. It knows what a use of office means. It knows what stories are. It knows what levels are. And it's just using the kind of site boundary to generate this geometry and create for me, it's chosen a different facade because I said it was office and it's structured it this way. And so I can say, a 4-story office podium with 10 stories of residential above. And it will, again, parse out that text, turn it into structured data, and then, most of the work, most of the heavy lifting is still being done by straightforward, sort of classic procedural parametric modeling. So we already had systems that knew how to generate, residential unit layouts and facade systems and things like that. So AI just becomes kind of a new interface to some of those same capabilities. And I can even do, to some extent, description of things like shapes. So if I say, I want my residential stories here, or what if I want a 10-story L-shaped residential tower on top? And it can turn that prompt into geometry, which in fact is adapted to our site conditions. So in setting this up, I had kind of already established what the site boundary was. And so one of the cool things is if I change the site boundary, it's going to adapt this same prompt to a new site context. So let's actually try that once this finishes generating. So it's creating now my L-shaped residential tower over the top of my office podium. And now I'll go in and maybe I'll edit the site extents. It looks like we've got, in fact, let's just rotate the site a little bit, and maybe I'll change its shape a little bit here. That's, I think, another really important thing for us is that AI alone is, I don't think, ever going to be the whole story of how you interact with architectural modeling. Not in, no version of the future has you sitting back and just chattering at your computer. There are some things that are better expressed through geometry. There's a reason why We don't write novels and hand them off to our construction team, to execute. You need drawing. You need drawing-based interaction. You need models. You need 3D. And some of that stuff is just fundamentally difficult to express via text. But if this becomes sort of a simpler way to drive these more complex parametric models, you can see how it becomes quite powerful. And the cool thing about this approach, I think, is that this is a real BIM. This is not like Midjourney, where I say some words and it kind of fuzzes some pixels until something loosely resembling what I've talked about sort of materializes into existence. This is creating, real physical BIM entities. It's creating, elements of cladding, and it's creating a roof. And, if I go here, I've got my, studios and one bedrooms and unit layouts and things like that. So importantly, AI is never going to get us all of the way, but we still have all of the parametric editability here. So if I get in here and say, actually, I want this to like this L-shaped mass here to go at a slight angle, I can correct and adjust what the AI has produced for me. So I think that, one of the things we say often at Hypar is that like the future of BIM is, when we're talking about AI, is fundamentally hybrid. It's not like AI just takes the place of the work that we do. It just becomes another interaction mechanism. It becomes another way for us to communicate what we want to the computer and another way to make the computer smart about responding to these things.
Yeah, so thanks for the demo. That's fascinating. My first question is that the AI demo available to the public? Can we access it and try it?
Yep.
Yeah, oh, cool.
If you create a free Hypar account right now and sign into your account, on your main Hypar screen, choose New Workflow, and then go look for AI in our templates and look for Hypar AI Mixed Use. Anyone can try this out, try their own prompts. Now, I should caution, if I get in here and say, a museum in the style of Zaha Hadid, I'm not going to get anything meaningful. So don't get your hopes up. It is not a magic anything generator in the same way that, some of these AI tools can be. It is still constrained by what we've built as kind of a parametric model. I'm actually really curious to see what it does here.
Yeah, that was some of the questions in the chat. So some people would say, can you say a building in the style of Bjarke Ingels or in the style of Snøhetta?
Yeah, well, this is, I guess this is Zaha's minimalist phase. No great architectural shapes there.